This training will cover Chapter 5, Attendance Records, and is presented by the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs, also known as ODE CNP. In this training, we'll go over the daily attendance records and record-keeping requirements, as well as guidelines for writing and implementing attendance record procedures. By the end of this training, you will know the attendance record requirements for CACFP. You will also gain a broad understanding of providing oversight as well as implementing written procedures on these topic areas. What are the attendance requirements for CACFP and why are they so important? The purpose of attendance records is to document the number of children in care at the CACFP facility. These records are used to support the monthly meal counts. CACFP federal regulations state that all sponsors are required to maintain daily records, which indicate the number of participants in attendance. This is found under 7 CFR 226.15E4. Failure to maintain these records may result in the denial of reimbursement for meals served. During ODE CNP administrative reviews, the attendance records for the test month are reviewed, and all meals that are not supported by attendance records will be disallowed. The attendance record requirements do vary between program types. ODE CNP maintains an attendance record requirement table which outlines the requirements for all program types within CACFP. This can be found in the CACFP Center Manual in Chapter 5. This slide shows a screenshot of page 1 of the attendance record requirement table. We won't go over all of the specific program requirements for each program type in this training, but as mentioned, this resource is available to you in the online manual. All sponsors that are licensed by Oregon's Child Care Licensing Division, or CCLD, must follow the licensing requirements for attendance. ODE CNP does base the CACFP attendance requirements for licensed centers on the CCLD attendance requirements. Therefore, this table can potentially change annually based on the CCLD regulation updates. Let's go over the attendance requirements that apply to all program types. All sponsors are required to maintain accurate and legible daily attendance records for all participants in care. Attendance records must be dated with the day, month, and year. Records that do not contain the full date are considered incomplete. Participants' first and last name must be included in the attendance record. Attendance must be kept current at all times. Records must be completed as participants arrive and, if applicable, as they depart. Attendance and meal counts can be documented on the same form, but must be completed as separate actions. For example, the form might include a column next to the participant's name for in and out times, followed by columns for breakfast, lunch, and snack to be marked as the meal is served. It's important to note that the documentation of attendance cannot be used for the meal count number, and the meal count documentation cannot be considered the record of attendance. Without accurate attendance records, meals may not be claimed for reimbursement. Arrival and departure times, also called in and out times, are required for most program types. Times can be recorded by either parents or guardians or by site staff. Please note, a system must be in place for site staff to double-check and record any in and out times that may have been missed as soon as they are noticed. Participants who arrive and depart more than once per day must have both sets of times recorded. For example, a child that attends a child care center before and after school must have the arrival and departure times documented for both before and after school. The present or absent method documents attendance by showing that children were present or absent rather than documenting specific in and out times. This method is not available to all program types. Certain program types with a distinct program or school day that has set begin and end times, with most participants arriving and departing at the same time each day, may be allowed to document participants as present or absent, rather than documenting the in and out times. One example is an at-risk after-school program that operates 3 to 5 p.m. daily, where all participants arrive after school at 3 p.m. and are picked up around 5 p.m. This program would be allowed to mark participants as in attendance rather than document actual times. Sponsors using this method must have a system in place to document in and out times if a child arrives outside of the normal program hours, and/or if the child arrives and departs more than once during the program day. Attendance records are used to show which participants were in care and are used to support the monthly meal claim. Sponsors will calculate the total monthly attendance for each site and will then submit this total attendance number when completing the monthly claim for reimbursement. For multi-site sponsors, the attendance records are also used to complete the 5-day reconciliation during site monitoring and may be used for other internal control purposes as well. As with all CACFP documentation, attendance records must be maintained for 3 years plus the current fiscal year. Sponsors may use an electronic record system to document attendance records, but must ensure that all required components are included. Sponsors must also have a backup system in place in the event that the electronic system is unavailable. Time for a knowledge check. A child care center takes attendance in the classroom. Since the teacher knows all children by name, they only use first name to track attendance. Additionally, most children attend the same hours each day, so attendance is marked with an X to indicate when a child is present. This meets the attendance requirements. True or false? Now we're going to move into guidance on completing a written procedure for attendance records. We'll touch on the importance of written procedures, guidelines to follow, and the template that ODE CNP has created, which can be used by sponsors. Sponsors must have appropriate and effective management practices to ensure the program operates in compliance with CACFP regulations. This is done in part by having written policies and procedures that assign program responsibilities and duties. Sponsors may create their own procedure, or they may use the ODE CNP template. If sponsors create their own procedure, it is recommended to use the ODE CNP template as a resource to ensure all the important elements are included. The next few slides will go over how to use the ODE CNP template for attendance records. First, a few quick tips on using the ODE CNP template, which is a fillable Word document. Fill in each gray field for all applicable sections. If an applicable section has a checkbox, double-click on the box to check it. For sections that are not applicable, you may delete the section from the document altogether. Add in detail to make each step clear enough that someone unfamiliar with the process can follow along. On the first page, you'll fill in your sponsor name and the date that the procedure was created. It's helpful to include revision dates when you make updates in the future, so you know you always have the current version. The section that is in italics is meant to be instructions for sponsors to use when initially creating the procedure. You may delete this from your final version as it does not have a part in your organization's step-by-step instructions. Remember, this template is intended to be customized by each organization to best fit your needs. The Overview of Records section is a brief explanation of the record requirements. This is not an all-inclusive list. This section should remain in your final version of your procedure as it explains the purpose of the attendance record. Now we will get into the actual procedure. Section A covers the overview of record process and timeline. Under this section, steps 1 through 3 document how, where, and by whom the attendance record is taken. Step 1 will describe who documents the attendance. This could be a staff person or a parent or guardian, and at what location the attendance is taken. For example, as the participant arrives at the center, when they arrive in the classroom, cafeteria, etc. In number 2, you will explain where the forms go after the attendance records are completed. For example, maybe they are moved from the clipboard at the classroom door to a folder where they remain until the end of the month. Each organization does it differently, so clearly describe your process here. Next, number 3 outlines how often the attendance records are consolidated and reviewed, and by what position. For example, the food program coordinator may receive attendance weekly, which would be described in step 2, but they don't compile and review the attendance until the end of the month. Please note that this is just a suggested outline. If your organization doesn't use the same steps or has more steps, make those revisions as necessary. Lastly, in section 4, it outlines the timeline of reviewing attendance records and what is reviewed based on the program type. This screenshot only shows the CCLD licensed childcare centers, but the list continues on to the next page. Check the program type that's applicable and delete the rest. After attendance records are compiled and reviewed, step 5 describes what happens if an error is found. Describe who is responsible for correcting errors, what other documentation they may review, and how the errors are documented on the attendance records. Lastly, the monthly attendance must be calculated and is then used on the CACFP claim for reimbursement. Enter the position and title of the person that completes this step in question 6. Completed attendance records are also used to verify the monthly meal counts. The procedures for attendance and meal counts are separate but have a similar consolidation and support each other for the claim submission. Steps B and C explain where the records are maintained, and then the backup positions who will complete each step if the main responsible person is unavailable. As a reminder, all records must be maintained for 3 years plus the current fiscal year. Once created, the final step in the attendance record procedure is to train staff and implement into your day-to-day operations. To review, in this training we have discussed daily attendance records, including requirements for different program types, record-keeping requirements as it pertains to attendance records, and guidelines for written procedures and an overview of the ODE C&P attendance record template. ODE supports equity and excellence for every learner. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Thank you for taking this training.